right. Okay, so I'm starting the day. Okay, so like I was saying, this webinar is for those that are not yet Microsoft Innovative educators. So we're going to make everyone that in this training tonight Microsoft Innovative educators, so that we are prepared to start our application for Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert. Okay, and that one happens tomorrow from. So start because I need to attend another training immediately after I finish this one. So I'm going to rush over a lot of this. Let me start. All right, please confirm that you can see my screen. You can type in the comments. I know everyone is muted. The reason is that people might forget to mute their mic as they are joining the meeting. So to minimize the distractions, I have to mute everyone. But in the course of the training, I'm going to unmute also so that we can interact. So you might be thinking, who is Victoria Ogunlade-Ajushe? Who is this lady that calls herself the teacher called Millionaire? Please pardon the background noise, is beyond my control. So Victoria Ogunlade-Ajushe is a teacher, an educational consultant, a curriculum developer, integration specialist, facilitated a number of CPDs for educators, and worked with organizations on CSR projects to train close to 1,000 educators on the importance of STEAM. STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, and how it can be integrated in their lessons to improve learning and ultimately raise students who are fit for the 21st century. She has a wealth of experience as an innovative educator with the ability to explore diverse technology for teaching and learning. And this has led to many awards and certifications, notable among them being this Microsoft Innovative Educator, which we are in the process of becoming. And it is an international award that is highly revered by educators all around the world. And this feat was as a result of our contributions to innovative teaching and learning of children and educators alike. Pardon me. Okay, so aside being a teacher, I'm also a mompreneur. I'm a teacher finance coach, and my love for healthy financial well-being of educators has spurred me into being a finance coach for teachers and educators alike. All right, so I pursue this mission through various avenues such as trainings, workshops, personal development hangouts for professionals from all walks of persistent issues surrounding teachers' low remuneration. So I came up with this project called the Teacher Come Millionaire. I anchor a series regularly that is called the TCM series. And presently we've trained over 500 educators on that project to help them pursue their their goal of financial success, even as educators. So I believe that teachers are not assets, and they deserve to earn so well to complement their right. I've created resources such as the Edupreneur Personality Quiz, the Edupreneur Manual, and the Edupreneur Clarity of Purpose Workbook that serves as practical guide and prepares educators towards their journey to financial success, just like I have achieved for myself. So I'm highly committed to imparting others and contributing my best to make the world a better place. I'm interested in education, training, just like you've heard me say from the beginning of this introduction. Okay, and I'm open to teaching. I love doing, and it is what makes me money. Okay, so that being said, quickly, I don't want us to waste time. I've not met many of us before. In the chat room, quickly, can you please tell us your name and where you are joining us from? Your name and where you're joining us from. So for example, for me, I'm going to say I am Victoria and I'm joining from Lagos. My name is Victoria and I'm joining from Lagos. Okay, let's go on. I've not seen anyone yet except for myself. Oh, thank you. Welcome, John, joining from Lagos. Welcome, Folakemi, joining from Lagos. Okay, let's keep it coming. Because I said I do not want to waste time and there's another training coming up soon, I'm just going to go straight into what we have to do today. Okay, you can see my last screen. It's saying congratulations because at the end of this webinar, that's what you're going to get. Congratulations. You're going to be a Microsoft Educator expert. Okay, so shall we begin? So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to open the WhatsApp group. If you have any challenge during the course of this meeting, you can quickly type it in the WhatsApp group because I know it's currently logged and you might not be able to communicate for me, especially if you don't have my number. Okay, so becoming a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. I already told you about myself. Okay, so about the Microsoft Innovative Educator programs. Excuse me, this thing is disturbing me. Okay, so the Microsoft Innovative Program is a global educator program, and then it's brings education from around the world together. It teaches them how to use to help their peers and even the children that they teach to become better. And this has been organized by Microsoft. It's being organized by Microsoft. Now, so what is the Microsoft Innovative Educator, or who is the Microsoft Innovative Educator? To become a Microsoft Innovative Educator, it's actually very simple. All you need to do is these two things. You need to create a Microsoft Learn profile. I'm going to explain to us how to do that. And then you need to complete 2 educator professional achievement modules in Microsoft Innovative Microsoft Learn. In Microsoft Learn. So I'm going to explain that before this webinar ends. And we're going straight to the very first one. So I will the course. When we finish that, I will share an achievement code with us. We will all sign up on Microsoft Learn, enter the achievement code, and you get your very first certificate from Microsoft. After that, we'll quickly go over the second one. When we go over the second one, you'll also get an achievement code that allows you to generate your second certificate from Microsoft. So at the end of the day, you'd have gone through 2 courses by Microsoft, and then that will be making you a Microsoft Innovative Educator. So the very first one of it is called the Digital Citizenship. Digital Citizenship, prepare today's learner for online success. This is what this course is about. And then what are we looking to achieve at the end of the course? The first is that we're learning to define digital citizenship, to list 5 statements to support teaching digital citizenship through a positive lens, and then also to identify ways to integrate digital citizenship into our lessons and activities. So, that this learner area of technology. People have access to different technologies. It's just like you can't get to the end of it. As you are discovering one, another one is being introduced to you. And the funny thing is that even the children that we teach are already exposed to all of these technologies. So what's the essence of this digital citizenship course? It's just for us to be able to guide those learners that we teach how to use the internet creatively, how to use it efficiently and not to use it in a way that is going to affect them later on in the future. We already see examples of this even in our society. We've noticed things that happen as a result of access to the internet by teens and children and all of that. So the essence of this is that it will help us to guide our learners to use the internet well. It is also useful to us as teachers because I have seen many times on social media the way some teachers, even I wanted to say adults, but let's concentrate on our sphere as educators. You see the way some educators use their social media, the kind of things that they post, and you're wondering, is this person really an educator? Because you know, as educators, we are supposed to be role models. So, and if you don't know these things, of course, there's no way that you can do better at it. So, we're going to learn how to be better at this today. All right, so that being said, the very first one is being online. Now, what does it mean to be online? Being online means to pay close attention, okay, to your actions and how it impacts others. So most times when people post online, they just post things the way they feel. You don't look at it from the aspect of the other person that is going to be reading whatever it is that you have posted. We need to train our learners to understand that they need to be careful what they post online, and they need to look at the impact on other people before they decide to send whatever it is that they have in mind to send. So as good digital citizens, we need to maintain awareness of the use of technology tools. It's important for learners to be mindful of how their online activities can impact both their personal health and wellness and that of other people. So as good digital citizens, we need to learn how to use all digital tools very well and convey our messages responsibly through posts, images, and every other way that we share information online. Now, being online also means we are aware of how our reactions are viewed by others. So it is not only, you know, some people will naturally say, that's the way I feel, that's the way I talk. You need to accept me for the way I am. But then you need to also be conscious of how the person that is receiving that information will feel about whatever it is that you are saying. So that's to train our learners on. All right, and we know that online communication is not only verbal, it's not only when you speak. We do that through other means, through images, through videos, and all of that. So we need to encourage empathy in our learners. And these are different tools that you can introduce the learners to. Some of us as educators might also not know these tools before. You can just take a screenshot of it. So these tools will help you to be mindful of your online experiences. I'm not going to go over them because we need to move very fast. Now, the next thing is be public. What does it mean to be public? Be public means that learners need to understand that whatever is digitally posted or shared online can never truly be deleted. So if you remember something that happened recently in our community and then people were sharing all of that thing around. Now, even if someone who has shared it before eventually deletes it on his or her own post, someone else might have saved that thing and then can still post it another day. And the person that has saved it could have also shared it to many other people. So whatever it is that is posted online cannot truly be deleted. So we need to encourage learners to know this so that they take responsibility for every action that they do. We need to make them know that there's something called a footprint, a digital footprint. So just like you walk on sand and then you look back and you see a footprint, the same way there's something called a digital footprint. So you have a footprint on the internet that you are leaving behind that people can see. All right, so we need to make this awareness. And then your digital footprint causes other people's perception about you because it is what they see or read about you. It gives them a first impression. So for example, if I've not met you before, but when they read some things about you, it gives them just the first impression about the kind of person that you might be. So for example, many of you have not seen me before, but you've probably gone to my Facebook profile or Instagram, or you've just gone to my LinkedIn or somewhere, you've read something about it, gives you an impression of the kind of person that I might be. All right, so we need to also make our learners realize this. Also, okay, Another thing that, according to research, is that 70% of employers say that they check social media as a method before hiring applicants. So we need to take note of this. Also, 54% of employers surveyed that they check their candidates based on the content found on social media. So they want to employ a candidate, they first go to their social media and then they view their profile and the things that they've been posting. Another one says that for college admissions, some people visit the prospective student social media and view it before they agree to admit them or not. And then let me inform you that even for this Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert, when you are filling the form, there is a part that we request for your social media handles. There's a part that requests for your social media handles. So you need to go view the things that you're posting currently. If they are not currently okay, you might need to check them and adjust them. If they're okay, very good for you. If you've not been posting something that edifies or that encourages other people before now, you can start doing that because there's still a bit of time before the application will close. Important, though your application, they will tell you that it is not important, but I believe that if it is not important, there will be no reason why they are asking for that. So we need to be mindful of that. Now, these are strategies that can help learners and educators be mindful of their online interactions. All right, Bing. I don't know how many of us know Bing. If you know what Bing is, can you raise your hand or just put a reaction? Put a thumbs up reaction for me like this. If you know what Bing is. Oh, fine. Or like, I don't know what Bing is. So Bing is similar to Google. It's a search engine. Fantastic. So I see people raising their hand. It's a search engine. If you show something, you can just quickly go online. Promoting Bing because it's a Microsoft tool. We're all about Microsoft here today because the part of the certification that we're trying to get is Microsoft based. So you can also use the Minecraft Education Edition to make some researches. Okay, so for example, children when they make games, sometimes they ask them to put their profile picture. All right, and personal to them, especially for children that are underage, they are not yet 18. So I don't mean 18 as in 18 years old, that's what I mean. So it's not advisable for them to put out their pictures online. You can tell them to create characters, to create avatar for themselves using products like like Minecraft Education Edition. And there are some school age children, those are way older children that can use LinkedIn to create a very refined path for themselves. Okay, so the next one is be personal. What does it mean to be personal? Now, it has been realized that connecting with real people online, you're not just talking to a robot or someone, you're talking to someone like yourself. That some people have seen it as a safe way and they feel that it is beneficial for other people, according to this research. So they feel that it lowers anxiety rates, it leads to fewer incidents of depression, higher self-esteem, and then increases empathy towards other people. Now, and this can only happen if people are being good digital citizens. So you cannot have people that are mean to themselves online and then all of these things are happening. So it's also one of the reasons why we need to encourage our children to be good digital citizens. Okay, now this that can also help you to make your online experience personal and safe. Just take a screenshot of all of this. I'm not going to go into details on them. You can study them because when you're applying for Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert, they're going to ask you questions on some of these tools. So you have Microsoft Stream, Flipgrid, Minecraft Education again, Microsoft Edge Password Generator, and the rest. Now, another thing is being respectful. What does it mean to be respectful online? We're not only talking about speaking respectfully to one another, but another thing that is common in the use of the internet in this part of the world is that you don't give attribute to those you have copied something from. So you saw something on someone's page or you read a book by someone and then you just lift it from there and go and post it somewhere else like it was the original content. That is not being a respectful digital citizen, it's not being a good digital citizen. So it is important that we give citations and attributes, and then train our learners, the children that we teach, the people we come in contact with in our schools when we're taking our lessons. Make sure that you teach them to always cite. Even when you give them an assignment and say, go and research on something, make sure that when they are coming back and then they're giving you the assignment, that they've cited the sources that they got the information from. Okay, so these are also Microsoft tools that can help you in being respectful online. You can take a screenshot of that. You have Microsoft OneNote, Microsoft Teams, Bing, and Bing Visual Search. Okay, so quickly, be perceptive. All right, before we go on, let me just quickly inform you. So these trainings that we're doing now, normally if you are to go online and do them yourself, you take a minimum of 1 hour, and some courses 2 hours, 8 hours, and so on. So this is an instructor-led training. So this one gives you a faster way to achieve those certifications, and that's why I'm doing this instructor-led training for you. You don't have to spend as much time as you would have if you have to go over the trainings by yourself. However, if you finish the instructor-led training, you've gotten your certificate, and you want to go back to studying those courses, you can always have access to them on Microsoft Learn. So the next one is being perceptive. And what does it mean to be perceptive? Now, so another skill in today's online is today's online users need is the ability to recognize and avoid phishing scams. What does phishing scams mean? So you will see that sometimes you receive an email and you think that the email is from a recognized brand. You might think that the email is from Google or from Yahoo. Meanwhile, there is someone else that is using another email address or another name that looks exactly like that Yahoo. But you will see that if you look at it closely, you will see that there is maybe a sign or an alphabet that is extra, that is different from the original person's or the original brand. So we need to teach our children to recognize we need to teach them how to recognize a phishing scam, a real site, and the one that is just a real site. And of course, if we as educators do not know it, there is no way that we can help our learners to know these phishing sites. So there are also tools that can guide us to knowing this. All right, so ways to integrate digital citizenship skills into lessons and activities. Now we've talked about all this: be perceptive, what's the next one that we talked about? Be personal, be online, and all of that. Now, how do you now integrate it into your lesson? So you want to teach a lesson, you want to teach a class. How do I begin being good digital citizens? How do I tell them that there's something called the digital footprint and they need to know about it? So the truth is that good digital citizenship skills is not something that you can learn at once, all right? It's something that you also learn through practice. So we as educators need to look at different components of a good digital citizenship and find ways to integrate them into our lessons. So it's not compulsory that you are a computer teacher or you have to be teaching ICT or something. You can be teaching any subject at all and just look for ways to bring it up in your lesson. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. Like it says there, implementation requires careful practice and also requires your patience. I'm going to give you 2 examples of how some educators implemented digital citizenship in their classes. So this is an example of a science lesson. So this science educator uses a now, soon, or later planning. Now, soon, or later planning documents to identify good digital citizenship skills, all right? And what she does is that she integrates Minecraft education into our chemistry lesson. Now, this is a particular Minecraft education lesson, this element scavenger. Now, the educator now discusses how to collaborate. She discusses how to collaborate using the game, the chat feature in the game. So collaboration is a vital tool. We're going to learn about it in the next training that we'll do shortly. So she collaborates with the children. They discuss about it in the chat session of that Minecraft education, talking about this topic, element scavenger. Now, as they are discussing about it, they extract the components of good digital citizenship. So for example, we talked about being personal. She begins to look at it. Are they being personal in the way they are discussing? Are they implementing the elements of being respectful in what they are saying? Do you understand? So all of those parts that we have talked about, those 5 components, she begins to look at it. And then if she notices that they are not doing the right thing, she now reiterates those things and make sure that she corrects whatever. So for example, in the discussion, a child says something that is mean to another person. And she now tells the person, are you looking at it? Have you implemented empathy? Are you speaking the way you feel? Or have you thought about the way the person that is listening to this will perceive or receive the information that you're passing and all of that? So that's an example of how you can implement it. Another example is okay, so this is how the now, soon, or later planning document looks like. All right, so it says carefully consider upcoming lessons, units, and activities, and identify where digital citizenship skills can be integrated into this area successfully. So you take into consideration what fits naturally versus forcing things into a lesson. So if it doesn't naturally fit into that lesson that you want to take, you don't have to implement it. So if you are teaching another lesson some other time that you feel that it will naturally fit in, then make sure that you implement elements of digital citizenship into that lesson. So you ask yourself these 3 questions. What can be added now to my lesson? You write it down. What can I add soon? You write it down. Then another one will be, what can be added later? They think of something else that you can add later to the lesson. This is when you are planning to integrate in your lesson. So another one is an English lesson example. This is the last example. We're almost at the end of this very first one. My plan is 30 minutes for this, and then we get our certification. And I think I'm still doing good with time. So the next one is an English lesson example. Now in this English lesson example, the learners use a Sway presentation. Sway is a tool by Microsoft. You need to know these tools by Microsoft. You will need them when you are planning to become a MIEE. You will need them when you're planning to become a MIEE. So this person uses the Sway presentation project to look down the components of digital citizenship. All right, so educators can engage learning in a jigsaw project in which the individual B statement, that's those B statements that we talked about before, be personal, be respectful, and the rest. They are assigned to groups of learners. So you can say this particular group, your own is that I'm assigning be respectful to you. This second group, this is what you are going to implement. This third group, you implement this B statement. You are assigned to different groups. Then they will now create a collaborative sway. A collaborative sway, that is, they work together in their groups, they work on that project together, and then they now take turns to present their findings to the class. All right, so that way they've been able to write English that they are learning. It's English that they are learning. So they are doing digital citizenship. They have been able to combine texts. They are writing something. Whatever the topic is, you see English is even with the use of words and all that, it's easy for you to implement text. It can even be essay writing, descriptive essay or something. So it's very easy to blend this into an English lesson. Then they take turns to share whatever it is that they're busy with the classroom. But they can even now create an awareness campaign based on this to the old school, maybe during an assembly or something similar. All right, so that's the end of the first one. You see, it's quite short. I made it short so that we can finish on time. For you to get your certification for this particular course, you need to visit this link. I'm going to share it in the comments so that you can easily access it. But while we are sharing it, I will unmute so that if you have questions, you can ask. Let me quickly share it in the comments so that you can easily get your before we go. If you have any question, please type before I'm able to unmute you. Let me share your achievement code first. Okay, so achievement code is in the classroom. Okay, so a question is here. It says, my question is, can we please have a summary of the slides you use? Okay, so the thing is that you might not get the slides, but you will get a recording of this. So you can always go over the recordings. In the recordings, you will get all of the slides that I have used. I've shared the link to get your code. If you go through that link now, you're going to see your achievement code. So that link will lead you to Microsoft Learn. Please pay attention so that you know how to navigate it. Pay attention so that you know how to navigate and redeem your code. Same meticulously copied. All right, so please let's look up everyone. This is how you're going to get your code. Please give me a moment. Okay, so if you click on that link, it's going to lead you to Microsoft Learn. When it leads you to Microsoft Learn, can you see my screen? Please confirm if you can see my screen.
No, we can't see your screen.
Oh, okay, let me reshare.
Thank you.
Okay, so when you get to Microsoft Learn, it should be up now. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes, we can see. Thank you.
So it will lead you somewhere here. Then you need to sign in. Okay, I think let me do a quick run through Microsoft Learn. So this is the Microsoft Learn where you're supposed to take those 2 certifications, at least 2 certifications to become a Microsoft Innovative Educator. Now, Microsoft Learn is not only for educators, it's for everyone from all walks of life. You actually see something that you can learn about. But this one is one that concerns us. This one called the Educator Center. Can you see it? The Microsoft Educator Center. So this is the one that concerns us. All right. If you click on it, you're going to see a lot about Microsoft education and all of that. But let's quickly redeem our code. You can always check through this later. So you see this part here, this figure here. When you click on it, if you're not already signed in, okay? So if you're not already signing, you will see sign in. I think you should be saying sign in if you're not already signed in. Click on sign in. All right. Email address to create your profile, and then it will request for your password. Just do all the necessary sign-in details, and then you have your own Microsoft Learn account. Now, when you create it and you use this link, please pay attention. It's going to guide you to get your certificate. Then you click on your profile. Remember that this image, you have the picture that I'll be showing. Is this place that you will click on, then you go to profile. All right. So when you go to profile, it's still loading now. This is my own profile. When you go to profile, you see all of this training, certifications, Q&A, achievements. Click on achievements. If you are using a mobile to connect, you might not see the achievements immediately, but you will see something called activity. Okay, if you are using mobile, you won't see all of this. You will see activity at the top. So there will be an arrow beside activity. When you click on that arrow, you'll be able to locate achievements. So when you click achievements, you will see this. Do you have an achievement code? Redeem your code now. So when you click redeem your code now, you can now copy this code. If you click on that link that I sent, you won't need to input the code manually. But if you go through this this method that I taught you, all you need to do is to impute the code that I was sharing before. So when you get to this place, just impute this code. This one, W6, let me type it so that it's easy for us to get. W6V5 M2. W6V5M2. All right. Please do not go yet. We still have one more course. We're getting 2 certificates before the end of this program. Olaide, I see that you raised your hand. I'm going to call on you very shortly. I don't want to lose the line of thought. Okay, so when you redeem your code, it's going to give you your trophy. Now, for example, look at mine here. These are my achievements. So when you get your trophy for this particular course, okay, I'm going to send the link again. When you get your trophy for this course that we just completed, when you click on this sign that looks like a printer, so just click on it. That is to print your certificates. So you see, this is what comes up. It now generates your certificate for you. Can you see it? So you will then have your certificates, and that is how easy it is for you to get. All right, so that being said, if you successfully generated your certificate, you can download or take a screenshot of it and share it to us on the group. I forgot, I was supposed to allow people communicate. Let me say that quickly. I'm giving us a bit of moment to just walk around before we go on to the next one, so that we're not sitting down straight all through the meeting. So in the next 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to start the second training and get our achievement certificates. Okay, so everyone is now able to send messages in the WhatsApp group. If you've successfully gotten your certificate, you can share it with us there. Okay, someone has asked that I also share the link again. So this is the link again. All right, so let's proceed to the second one. I want to end this as soon as possible so that I can get ready for the second training that I have. Now, this is oh, sorry, Olaide wanted to speak. Olaide, please go on. Olaide, you wanted to say something?
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Thank you so much for this. This is very, very impactful. Though I've sent my question in the comment section, I was like, we can use this also for those of us in the counseling profession. Can we use this also, or there's a separate package for counselors or the counseling profession? That's
okay. So you just counsel people.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? So I think that you can go on. You have something to say.
No, I'm through. Just want to know if there's a special package or we can use this method too for our counseling classes to make it more interactive also.
So are you saying that can you use it to teach people when you are counseling them?
Yes, or there's a special package.
So you know this particular course that we just did is on digital citizenship. So it actually cuts across everyone.
Okay.
It cuts across everyone. This particular one that we just completed, it cuts across everyone. The second one that we're going to do now, 21st century learning design. Okay, so you know when you are doing counseling, you are actually still teaching people to be better or to do something. So you're also going to learn 21st century skills to do your training, all right, or to do your counseling. Do you understand? Because this business of education is mostly about impacting people, teaching people, moving them from one level to another level, a level of ignorance to a level where they now have knowledge about something. So I think it's something that you can also apply in whatever it is that you are counseling people about. Because when you learn all of these things, it will improve the quality of service that you provide to those that you counsel. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, let's move quickly to the next one. Oh, I'm not sharing the right screen. Let me share the right screen. Okay, Olade, you're still raising your hand. Can you please put it down so I don't get confused? Okay, so back to our training. Yeah. So move quickly to the next one. 21st century learning design. I remember that in the group, when I shared this meet link, I said those that are not yet Microsoft Innovative Educators and those that are not yet Microsoft Certified Educators. Now, for Microsoft Certified Educators, these are the ones that now take an examination, all right, that certifies you to become an MCE. And this certification is acknowledged all over the world. Now, this learning design is the major part of the things that constitutes that the questions that you'll be asked when you sit for that examination. So I need to run through it. This course is about an 8-hour course or something that you take in 2 days. But like I said, this is just the crash course. So I'm going to run through it quickly so that we have an idea of what this is about. You get your achievement code. And the reason why I'm running through it is that if you eventually want to do MCE, you want to do it in details, because of course you'll be sitting for an examination and you need to make sure that you know it very well to be able to pass the examination, because if you do not pass, you'll be certified. Okay, I forgot what I wanted to say. But that's the idea of this the one century design. Okay, so students around the world need advanced skills to in the globalized knowledge-based world of today. Of course, we already know that. Okay, so the 21 CLD curriculum is based on rubrics, and these rubrics have been developed and tested internationally. All right, and that is why if you are a Microsoft certified educator, then you are known, you are recognized and acknowledged all over the world, because the things that you learn there and which you have been certified are things that have been tested and developed globally. This is what the 21st century learning design is based on. It's based on these 6 skills: collaboration, skilled communication, knowledge construction, self-regulation, real-world problem solving and innovation, and the use of ICT for learning. Collaboration, skilled communication, knowledge construction, self-regulation, real-world problem solving and innovation, and the use of ICT for learning. So we're going to take them one after the other. I'm going to be fast with it. And we get our second certificate, and you get your congratulations. Then tomorrow we'll proceed with being a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. Okay, so the first one is collaboration. Now, we'll notice that today, young people are currently connecting with people through social media, all right? They're collaborating, meeting new people and all of that. So you see the social interactions, people are reacting, they're sharing different types of media, collaborating with their peers and all of that, all right? But one thing is that in this same world, we have complex problems, all right? Complex problems that keep on coming in over and over again. An example is the COVID-19 that just came out of nowhere. But then people had to collaborate, come together, and then find a solution to it. One thing is that in most organizations today, people are working together collaboratively. You see people, head of teams, the organizer will just say people are a team, and this team, this is your task and all of that. They have someone that heads the team. So collaboration is a 21st century skill that we need to imbibe in our learners. It's a 21st century skill that we need to imbibe in our learners. We need to teach them to work responsibly while making to accomplish a common goal. So the question now is, how do we prepare our students for this experience? How do we teach them to collaborate? Now, this is the collaboration rubric. There are 5 of them. The lowest of the rubric, first one is when you are teaching your children a particular concept, you do not tell them to work together. So they are not working, you do not share them into group and say do anything together. All you've done is that you just taught them everything, you said it to them, and then they just took notes in their book, they answered their classwork and they submitted. There's no form of collaboration at all. That's the least part of it, and that is what applies or happens in most of our classroom. Now, the second one that is going up the ladder is where students do not work together, but you have shared responsibilities to them. So you can see in this group, people are going to make a presentation or something. People are going to search for the meaning of this online. This group, so you just assigned projects to each one of them. Okay, so they are not working like individual tasks, but they don't have to work as a team or as a group to achieve that task. That's the second level. Now, the third level is where they have a shared responsibility, but they are not required to make substantive decisions together. You share the responsibility to different people, but they are not making they're not coming up with a decision based on any responsibility that you give. It's just something that they're probably going to get from somewhere and then the way it is. They don't have to create their own decisions based on that task that you're giving to them. Now, then the next one is when students, they have a shared responsibility you're giving them, all right? They make a substantive decision about the content or maybe the process, the way they want to do it, so they can agree among themselves. Okay, we were a group, Mr. Hess has given us this project. This is how we're going to use PowerPoint to create our own task and all of that. All right. But if their work is not, excuse me. Please pardon me. Okay, so if their work is not interdependent, all right, they're working interdependently, then it means that you've not gotten to the highest part of the rubric, all right? So it means that at the end of the day, you have to give children shared responsibility whenever you are teaching them a concept, all right? They need to make substantive decisions together, and then you also need to make sure that the work they're doing is interdependent on each other. That is, what that means is that if the input of this person, then whatever project that we're working on will not be complete. Do you understand? So the task you're giving them is something that at the end of the day, it's not that I can work on it on myself and then bring it to you and say I'm done with my task. No. So if you're sharing a group project, each one of them should have something that is vital to contribute to that project, such that if one person's part is out of it, the project will not be complete. That is where you get to the last part or the highest stop of the collaboration rubric. Then the next one is called the skilled communication. Now, what is skilled communication? It's another 21st century tool. So what does this do? We know now explosive, especially like I said earlier, but unfortunately, these powerful tools help the children. Most what they use it for mostly is just to talk and to chat away and all of that, all right? And then you will notice that most cases, when people are typing out, they just use short text. So you see K, letter K as okay or all right. So people are even not writing full sentences anymore. So now using single text, and then sometimes you're having a discussion that has to do with thinking and all of that, and then someone is bringing up an unrelated topic to scatter, or maybe they are uninterested in that thing at that time. So what do we need to do about that? It means that we need to imbibe this skilled communication in the children, all right? So how can we do this? Because we've noticed that the use of social media and internet now, it doesn't allow for only text. You can use images, you can use videos, you can use all of that. They need to integrate it, because you will see that for those, for example, who are audio-visual learners, they connect with those ones more. So you need to be able to teach your children to express themselves both using written or audio files or videos when discussing issues. It could even be within your lesson. So you brought a topic and you want them to discuss, let them express themselves in the way that they like. It doesn't have to be all writing. So you can tell them to record a voice or record a voice note on something that they like and then play it to the class. It will excite them. They'll be happy to do it. You can tell them to just do a video of themselves speaking about it. Will also excite them. So that's one of the things that you can use to improve skilled communication. Younger children might capture their reflections about their favorite story by making an audio recording, because they may not have the literacy skills to capture this in writing. And that is true. If you tell some children to write down their thoughts or write down a story, it's like an Herculean task. Like you've given them something that they are not interested in. But if you tell them to record themselves, they're happy to see, because of course that's what they do now on TikTok, and now they stand in front of it and then they dance. So if you tell them to express themselves in a way that is interesting to them, you will obviously see them happy to do that. So in this way, technology allows young people to share their views with an audience that is outside their immediate environment. And that gives new meaning to, to teaching and learning. They're able to extend their learning outside of the classroom. So imagine that you give them that task in the class, and then you say that at the end of the day, you're going to share it with their parents, or you give them a link to share with their friends from other schools, or at the assembly, they are going to play their video, whatever it is that they have done. It's something that is going to encourage and motivate them to do better. So let's look at the skilled communication rubric. Now, at the very bottom of the rubric is where we have this. It says students are not required to produce extended or multimodal communication. This is what is obtainable in most of our teaching. So you just tell children, just write. What else? Write a descriptive essay on maybe a sorrow or something. It's just right. There's no multimodal, no different communication styles or communication tools to do whatever it is that they intend to do. It's just that way. It's either you write it or you don't write and then you fail. Do you understand? Then the next one is when they are required to produce extended communication or multimodal. So now you've allowed them to express themselves in different forms, but they are not telling them to provide supporting evidence or to design their work for a particular audience. So you've told them, yes, use any method you like. You can use text, you can use audio, you can use video, but you are not tailoring that into a particular audience that we appreciate that thing that they are producing. It's just a general knowledge that you told them to create. That's the second level. Now, so when you move top of the stage, is where students are required to produce extended communication. Okay, do we all like that we have live transcription? Someone is requesting for it. Sometimes I find it distracting. Can I see 2 or 3 people agree for live transcription so that I can enable it? Okay, someone says it's not clear. All right. So let me enable it. All right, so live transcription is on. The next thing is where students are required to produce extended communication. So you've told them, yes, use any method you like. Use videos, use text, use audio files and all of that, all right? And then they are required to produce supportive evidence. Or you've told them to create it for a particular object. So, but you've not asked them to do the two. So it is either that you have told them, use any method you like and provide supportive evidence on whatever it is you are creating. Or you have said, use any method you like and make sure that you are producing this information for a particular audience. So maybe that thing that they are creating is for students in low-cost schools, whatever information that they are projecting. So at the end of the day, when students in low-cost schools view this information, it has meaning to them. Then you've gotten to the third stage. Or you have said, give me this information and give me enough evidence to be sure that this thing that you have written is correct. Even though you are using video or you are using audio, you are using text, you are at the third stage. When you get to the last stage is where you have said that you can use any method you like, you can you must provide supportive evidence, and you must make sure that whatever it is that you are producing, you are generating for a particular audience. So when you have done both supportive evidence for a particular audience, then you are the fourth level, which is the highest level of your skilled communication. That is where you are building the highest level of skilled communicators in your learners. Then we move on to the next one. There are just 6 of them. We've covered 2, so we'll be done before you know it. The next one is knowledge construction. Now, what do we mean by knowledge construction? You notice now many of our education systems, the way they were designed is that the teacher comes, it's the teacher that pulls out all the information. Why it says it's bond and it's final. So your own is just to receive the information, and then, like we say during our time, la cram la pour. You read it, the ones that you are not getting and it's not staying well, you just cram everything. When it's time for exam, you pull it back, that's giving it to you. But that is not knowledge construction, and we need to learn to teach our learners to be able to construct knowledge. So the question is, in today's world, is this model of education sufficient, where all we do is just pass the information to the students and then they are recalling it either orally when you're asking them, yes, recite this, and they are reciting, define this and they are defining it, what are the stages of this, and they are reciting it for you, or in the exam, write down this and they are stating it. That's the obvious. It's information that they can Google and get the information as easy as possible. That is not sufficient for the kind of world that we are in now. All right, so we live in a world that is constantly changing and at an ever increasing pace. So you notice that Facebook users share, according to research, nearly 2.5 million pieces of content. Twitter users tweet nearly 300,000 times. Instagram users post nearly 220,000 new photos. Email users are sending 200 million messages. So information is everywhere. Information is all over. There's so many information. You can even be lost in information. In fact, knowledge is not something that is scarce anymore. But then what can you do with this knowledge? Can you construct new knowledge? We need to ask ourselves, this knowledge, is it static or is it dynamic? Is it constantly evolving? Of course, we know that it's constantly evolving. So we also need to be able to effectively use this information, as plenty as they are, to construct knowledge for ourselves. All right, so how do we get our students to construct knowledge? To be able to do this, so there is a need for schools to design learning opportunities to move beyond repetition. So it is not just that we are repeating the same scheme, the content of our lesson plan that was used in the last term, and we're using it all over again. No. So most times the questions we have to ask children are what? What is this? How is this? How much is this? You know, simple questions that they can give us one answer to, or they can just quickly recall and give the answer to. But we need to move beyond that, asking what they already know, and then give them opportunities to, you know, get lots of facts and create new knowledge from the facts that they have. All right, so we want them to construct knowledge by engaging in deep learning, where they have to reason and think, where they have to interpret, they have to analyze, they have to synthesize, they have to evaluate information in order to get, you know, when you have to go through all of this process, you understand it better for yourself. You are not saying it because somebody said, but you've internalized it and you understand it better, and it's easy for them to now create new ideas. So let's quickly run through the rubric of knowledge construction so that it gives you more meaning to what this is. So at the lowest level of knowledge construction, this is where the learning activity does not require students to construct knowledge. All they need is that complete this activity, you produce this information. So I've taught you what is what can I use as an example? What is an habitat? That's the lowest level. There's no knowledge construction at all. Now, moving on, you move on to the next level. That is, the learning activity requires students to construct knowledge by interpreting. So you can ask them a question that requires them to interpret or maybe analyze. So what's the difference between this and this, or compare this to this? You know, that one we allow them to do a bit of analysis or evaluation. So they are giving you more insight about a particular thing that you have taught them. But the activity's main requirement is not knowledge construction, because knowledge construction is far more than that. We're going to see what it really means to do knowledge, what knowledge construction really means by the time we get to the end of the rubric. Now, so the next level is where the learning activities main requirement is knowledge construction, but the learning activity does not require students to create new knowledge in a new context. So they are still using the knowledge in the context of that topic that you are treating. They are not applying it to a new context and a new context entirely. When you now move up is when the learning activities main requirement is knowledge construction, and the learning activity requires them to apply it in a new context, but it does not have what learning goals in more than one subject. So, an example. Let's think of an example of a concept that you can relate to, because when you get to application phase, when you can apply something that is taught in one concept and apply it in another concept, that is where the learning really occurs. Let me see, is there any suggestion in the chat? Okay, so let's do this one together. I did an example of habitats before. Habitats. What subject teaches habitats? In what subject do we do habitats? Let's see what people that remember what they did in school. What subjects? Yes, anyone? Fantastic. It's like says biology. So you're teaching a topic in biology, and the topic is habitats. And then you now want your students to apply it in a new context. Habitat is where the living things live, right? Am I correct? I hope I remember my biology. Now, how else can we apply that habitat in a new context? Can we think outside of the box? So thinking of something that is living in an environment, what else can you relate it with? What else can you relate it with? Please, let's think. Because it is when we are able to do it ourselves that we'll be able to pass on the knowledge to other people. Okay, someone says science, geography, you're still listing the topics. So I've moved on from the topic now. Oh, geography, someone says geography. Okay, so John Duru, do you mind to unmute your mic and tell us how we can relate habitat in biology to geography?
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Coach Vicky, for the opportunity. I would say from biology or science, when you talk about habitat, is where animals live or where animals reside. So if we are linking it to geography, we can say that is a physical location where a group of people stay. For example, Asia. Asia is where people that are from Asian countries live. People like China, India, Pakistan, and the rest, they live in Asia. We talk about Africa, then we refer to countries like Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and the rest of us. So we can use habitat to relate.
So we can define it as their natural habitats that they are used to the climate and the temperature and all of that. We can see there's enough possibilities in that. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Okay, so we see now that example that Mr. John Duru has given us is at the 4th level of the knowledge construction. Okay, so he has been able to now link the learning goals to more. Please mute your mic. He has been able to move the learning goals to more than one subject. So although we're talking about habitats in biology, he has also related it to geography. Do you understand? So when you now get to the very top of the knowledge construction rubric, is when the learning activity main goal is knowledge building, all right? And the learning activity allows students to apply their knowledge in a new context. And aside that, they are also able to now relate context to more than one subject. So it can be someone teaching biology related to geography, or somebody teaching that topic in geography, and they're relating it to biology. There are so many examples. If we take our time to think about it and just think about a concept think about it and just think about a concept in our topic and our subjects, you will see other topics you can relate them to. So it's not just about relating them to it. You need to encourage your students to be able to relate it by themselves. You guide, you can give an example and let them create their own, because you are still telling them they're not able to construct their own new knowledge. So when they understand that topic, they will now think for themselves and construct the knowledge in a new way, relating it to another it's not one subject, okay, and getting a new learning goal from that topic. Let's move to the next one, which is self-regulation. Now, what does self-regulation mean? This one is when you are just what? Majorly, you are not the only one that is deciding the factor that is or not, or deciding what makes children do better when they have concentrated. Okay, I'm seeing my example, shapes in mathematics to shape poems in English. Fantastic, well done. Okay, so for this example, for self-regulation, you are not the only one deciding what will determine if the children has done well in whatever it is that you are teaching. It is both you and the learners that will determine or come together with a rubric, a criteria, mean they will in that particular learning or not. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So it is both the learner and the teachers that will develop a self-regulation skill. They will develop everything that will determine, and then they will also be able to check from time to time. You give them a time frame that time people should have been able to achieve this. So for example, a short-term goal can be in a lesson. It can be a task for them to do over a long time, say 1 week, 2 weeks, or for the whole term. So you are giving them the success criteria. Or for this particular project, I need you to be able to do this. So let me give you an example. In the place where I work, there was a competition that our children had to go through recently, a coding competition. Now, the organization that came up with the competition, they gave a rubric so that you can access if what you are producing. They've told you what they want to see. So you can always to it as you are building or as you are creating that your assignment. You go back to the rubric and say, okay, does it align with what I'm going to be scored on? Does it align with what my teacher is expecting to see from me at the end of the day? Then if it's a project that is a long term, although that one, it had a time frame, that's the final deadline. They give a time frame to this particular task, you must meet it at maybe the first week. For this particular one, you must submit at the second week. But it is necessary, and it's very good that it gives room for consistent feedback, because if they finish the first part and they complete it, they are able to get feedback when they share with their colleagues and also share with other members of the community, or even you as a teacher. You can now look at it and give them feedback to tell them if they have done well at it or not. If they've not done well, they can easily go back and then improve on it and go on. So time frame and success criteria are very key in self-regulation. So let's look at the rubric quickly. I don't want us to waste any time. I can't just 1 hour and 10 minutes for this. Okay, so looking at the self-regulation rubric. Now, the very last stage is where the learning activity is not long-term, okay? Or students do not have learning goals and associated success criteria. So you have not told them the learning goal. They don't know what you are looking forward to. They don't have the success criteria that this is what we must be able to achieve at a certain stage. They don't know anything like that. That's the very least of the ladder. Now, moving up is where you have the learning activity is long-term. For self-regulation, the learning activity has to be long-term. Learning activity is long-term. Students have goals are the success criteria because you've given, but they do not have the opportunity to plan their own work. They don't have, so you are the one that's planning it for them, all right? They don't have the ability to plan their own work. You just give them the learning goals and this thing, but they have to do the work according to how you tell them to do it. Now, the can you still see my screen? I think I went off for a while. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Okay,
we
thank
can.
you.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I can.
Okay, being an internet, sorry about that. Okay, so I was at, oh no, no button here. All right, so I was at the third level where learning activity is long term. Students have the learning goals and associated learning criteria because you've given it to them. They have the opportunities to work at their own pace, but you have not given them the opportunity to do their work based on feedback. All right, so the feedback is not there. And like I said earlier on, the point where you are now at the topmost part of the self-regulation rubric is where all of these parts are in place, where the activity is long term, you've given them learning goals, you've given them success criteria, they have the opportunity to plan their work, and then they have the opportunity to revise their work based on feedback. So at every stage they finish, they submit to you, they submit to you, and it doesn't have to be with you. They can revise the work with their peers, all right? Revise with their peers, see if it is right or wrong, and then they correct their work because there's a feedback and there's a rubric or a success criteria that you're giving them to always check if they are doing the right thing or not. Then the next one is real problem solving, real world problem solving and innovation. There's just one more to go after this, and you get your second certification. All right, so for real world problem solving and innovation, now, for example, from finding a cure to Ebola, to cancer, vaccine for COVID-19 and all of that, you will see that these are real world problems, and there are people that are solving them. They are not machines or robots. So the kind of teaching that we are teaching our children now, is it sufficient for them to be able to tackle real world problem solving? To tackle real world problems, sorry. Because if you continue using rote learning and it's just, I've taught you this, read it and give me back, then we're not encouraging creative thinking skills. So one of the 21st century skills in the 21 CLD is real world problem solving and innovation. So aside the fact that they are solving a problem, they need to be innovative, that is, create something new as a result of that problem that they were able to solve, say, in the classroom. All right. So I want to quickly run through the rubrics, but let me read this. So one of the key roles of education is to prepare people to effectively engage with these real-world challenges, problems, and questions. And we as teachers, we need to design our learning activities so that our students can develop the skills when they require to engage in real-world problem solving. Now, an example could be finding solution to say traffic situation. Maybe there's always hold up on a particular road, the traffic is very heavy and all. They might be walking on their way to school. They might just observe. You can tell them as they're coming to school, observe in the morning, what do you think is causing this gridlock? What can be done to, to make the situation better? Another example could be lack of clean water. So you can say, in my environment or maybe in that community, if they don't have access to clean water, you can begin to lead them to do a research on clean water. Now, in the news, was it sometimes last year, there was a school that actually did that project, a public school. Now, this man used, because they've done filtration, is it filtration in school? Water filtration. I don't know if there's anyone that saw that. So they practicalized it in their lab, and they now built a very huge water filtration device, and they were able to convert the water in that community into clean water. You know, what's the name of that thing called? I can't remember. You know, it passes through the gravel, sand, and all of that until it gets, and then you see that the final outcome is a clean water. Now, they were able to now expand it to larger places where people now, from the water, they build that thing and put it there. So water passes through it. At the end of the day, it comes out as clean water. That's real world problem solving. And this was not made by, say, university students. It was made by children in secondary school. Now, that is a real world problem that they solved, and they created an innovation based on the normal filtration that they would have just done as a theory, or that would have ended in the classroom. They actually made the innovation for people outside of their school environment. Now, that's the topmost part of real world problem solving. So let me quickly show you what the rubric is, so that when we are trying to implement in the class, you know what to do. Now, for the very least of the very lowest part of the rubric is where the learning activities main requirement is not problem solving. So students use the previously learned answer or procedure for most of the work. There's no problem solving. Just remember what you've done before, give me the answer, no problem solving. The second stage is where the learning activities main requirement is problem solving, but the problem is not a real world problem. An example, very easy, mathematics. What is X, Y, Kiniko? It's problem solving, but it is not real world problem. All right. Don't misinterpret me. Now, there are some mathematical concepts that you can teach and you can relate to problem solving. But if you just leave it at solve the simultaneous situation, simultaneous equation, solve this quadratic equation, there are also some other concepts that you might teach that is just based on that topic. It might also be in your art subject, or say social studies and all of that. So you might say, it might even be in history. So a war broke out in so what do you think, or how do you think it could have been avoided, or a coup happened? What do you think they could have done better? That's problem solving, but it's not real life. It's not real world. That's the second stage. You are giving a problem solving situation, but it's not real life that you can do now. It's still based on a topic, it's still virtual, something you're imagining. Now, the third process is when the learning activities main requirement is problem solving, and the problem is a real world problem. The problem is a real world problem, but the students do not need to innovate, or they are not required to implement their ideas in the real world, or to relate the ideas to someone outside of their academic institution. That's the third problem. So it's problem solving, it's a real world problem, but that's where it is. They don't need, you did not tell them that make your own new innovations based on this problem, and let us sell this innovation to people outside. I don't mean selling like getting money, but let us now take this innovation that we have made, take it outside the school society so that people can see it and see if it really works. It is when you have done that, that you've given them a real world problem, they can now innovate, create something like the example of the water project I told you, that people outside of the and now made those things for them, and they actually started using it. Now that is innovation. That is the highest level of the real world problem solving. And then final one is the use of ICT for learning. Use of ICT for learning. So ICT is a powerful tool to promote and support a wide range of learning. Excuse me. So now, We also need to teach children to use ICT for learning. Now, ICT for learning does not mean that we have a whiteboard in our school and the children we used to project what the children are learning. That is not using ICT for learning. You are not using it effectively. So when we talk about ICT, we're talking about both the hardware and the software. We're talking about the devices itself, and we're talking about the different or vast applications that you can use as much as possible. So what is the rubric for ICT for learning? Now, the very least one is where students do not have the opportunity to use ICT for learning. So everything you are teaching, you are not implementing any ICT at all. You are just teaching them what doing it is before we were born. The second stage is where students use ICT to learn or practice basic skills or reproduce information. All right, but they are not constructing any knowledge. We talked about knowledge construction. There's no construction of knowledge. They just need to practice skills. So we just tell them and go on Microsoft Word and type something. They are practicing. All right. They produce this information. You tell them to do a research. So give me the answer to your research. You call it a mini project. They type for you, or they do a PowerPoint presentation. It's not really constructing the knowledge because they are giving you what they've gotten from somewhere and they are reproducing it. That's the second level. The third level is where students use ICT to support knowledge construction, okay? But they could construct the same knowledge without using ICT. So if you're given a problem that they use ICT to support their learning, if they didn't use any ICT, they can still give you that same information. That's the third level. Now, the fourth level is where they use ICT to support knowledge, and ICT is actually required. Without that ICT, they cannot produce that information. Do you understand? But they are not required to create any authentic thing. So they're not creating any solutions for authentic users, that is for real life users to make use of. Let me explain that again. They use ICT to support knowledge construction, all right? And for that knowledge construction, for that project that they are doing, they must use ICT. If they don't use ICT, they will not be able to create it. But whatever it is that they are creating, it is not something that real life people can use. It just ends there in the classroom. It's similar to the one we just finished about problem solving. Done ends in the classroom. Created, you solve the problem, but it's not something that applies to the real world that people can use. But the highest form for learning is where it supports knowledge construction. It is required. Without it, that project will not happen. And then you have now created a project or a product that people outside of your school can use. Real life, it can be an app, it can be a game, it can be a solution to something. It can be maybe an ed tech platform. So you're trying to gather some information and they create it as a learning portal or something. And they now share it to people that maybe do not have access to that information ideally or normally. That is when you have created something for authentic users that real life people can now use it and learn from it. Okay, so these are the 6 rubrics in the 21st century learning design. So I'm going to go over them quickly. The first one we talked about is collaboration. Then we talked about skills communication. We talked about self-regulation. We talked about knowledge construction, use of ICT for learning, and real-world problem solving and innovation. So that being said, you've been able to achieve 2 courses in less than 1.5 hours and get your second certificate. So before we get our certifications, I'm already sharing how to get it on the screen, but I need you to ask questions. Do you have any questions concerning this 21st century learning design? Any questions on the 21st century learning design? While I'm waiting for questions, I'm going to share the link for you to get your certificate for 21st century design. Please note that for those of you that will be writing the Microsoft Certified Education, it is this exact course, this 21st century learning design, that majority of your questions will come from. Majority of your questions will come from it. So by the time you want to take the exam, you need to study it very well. And then when you're ready to take the exams, they will also give you practice questions that you can use to practice and be sure that you are ready for the exams. Okay, so I'm trying to get the link for. Okay, so this is the link. You follow the same method I explained earlier. When you type in this link, you will see request achievement code, and then you can enter the achievement code to certificate for this one. So like I said earlier, yes, okay, I'm going to answer this question. Like I said earlier, you are required to complete at least 2 modules in Microsoft Learn to become a Microsoft Innovative Educator. And that's what we have done today. So someone is asking, what's the difference between an MCE and MIE? So MCE means Microsoft Certified Educator. For MCE, you need to take an examination. Examination is mostly based on 21st century learning design. This course that we have, this short course that we have done, it is longer than this. By the time you are taking the real course by the time you are preparing for the exam, you have to read all, because there are examples, real life examples of schools all over the world, the way they implemented it. It is there. We've not been able to cover it because of the short time. So that certification, after you have gone through that exam, it will now give you scenarios. What the examination is practical. Practical in the sense to give practical situations and scenarios of different learning that is taking place. And it will now ask you, where does this fall? Is this knowledge construction? Is it skilled communication? Is it collaboration? It will even ask you on what part of the rubric does it fall? So all of those statements where you are saying the person has been able to use it for constructing new knowledge, but was not able to use it for authentic users, it will give you all of those ones as options. So you need to determine where that particular, whatever style of strategy is taken, where it falls on the rubric. That's what the MC is about. So it's testing your capacity to be able to use the 21st CLD learning in practice. But for MIEE, MIEE is also globally recognized. This one does not require you writing an examination, although you have to apply to become one. You have to apply to become one. So you're going to nominate yourself and say, I want to be it's just that, you know, when you go for awards and they say nominate someone, so you're nominating yourself, I want to be a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert. But in your application, where you are nominating yourself, you need to show evidences that you are using all of these things, especially even all these 21st century learning design that we talked about. You need to show evidences of how you've been using all these things in your learning and research, especially for first-time applicants. They will ask you for evidences. So you need to gather a lot of things that you have used, a lot of tools that you have used. Even Microsoft tools are also there that you will show how you've been able to use. Now, this is not a problem because, like I've said earlier on, because some of us are new to this thing, we might not have knowledge about this. And then we still have a bit of time before the deadline will come. That is why I am hosting this program. So the reason why I did this first is that so that you'll be on the same page with those that are already MIEs, because those ones, they don't need this one. They're already MIEs, they already have a part of the criteria to become MIEE. But for those of you that are not MIE, you now have the criteria now. Then you can be on the same page with everyone. So everyone is on the same page tomorrow. But we'll now go through the application process. So you see for yourself, I'm going to run through the application process with you tomorrow, so that you know what to do and what to expect when you are nominating yourself. If you don't have them, you can now begin to gather them with the things I'm going to tell you about in tomorrow's class. So that's just basically the difference between the MCE and the MIE. Hierarchy. So we're talking about hierarchies. Just the very first one is MIE. MCE, MIEE. That one is not an hierarchy. Like for me, I'm a Microsoft Innovative Educator. I'm also a Microsoft Certified Educator, and I'm an MIE. So it depends on you. But I think that for me, the topmost of them is the MIE, because that one, you need to be accepted. They need to see for a fact that, yes, you are doing this thing, and then they accept you to it. But if you do not qualify, they will not get, they will not accept you. You will become an MIE. So I believe that MIE is the topmost one. For certificates, anybody can read the exam and pass. What if you've written the exam, you've passed, but you're not actually practicing it? So to become an MIE, you have to show that you are really practicing this thing, and show the evidences you can qualify to be an MIE. I have issues trying to increase my Nigerian number. I don't quite understand what that means. This is what you will do. No, Sarah, please, you're going to send me a private message later on, because I want to end this soon. I'll be having another training at 6 o'clock, and I would not like to be late to that training. So this is I'm also going to share this in the group later, because I know some people might miss it here. I'm also going to share this recording later for those that missed some part of it, or those that were not able to join in for some reasons, maybe power or anything. But the achievement code and the way to redeem your code, I'll share in the WhatsApp group. If you have any questions, you can ask. I might not be able to reply immediately, because like I said, I'll be going into another training soon, but I'll definitely reply you. And don't forget that tomorrow, we are now going to proceed to how to become a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. So that being said, I can now say that congratulations, you are now a Microsoft Innovative Educator. So when you do get your certificates, share your certificates in the group and on social media. Do acknowledge us. Remember, you've learned about citation and attribution in the first course we did on what's it called? Being good digital citizenship. Good digital citizens, rather. So acknowledge us on social media. I'm Victoria Aguilera or the teacher come Millionaire. So acknowledge us in the post when you do share your certificates. Encourage your colleagues and friends to register for the next batch of training. And remember that the registration link is bit.ly/becoming an MIEE. Do follow us on Facebook. Both on Facebook and Instagram, we are at the teacher come Millionaire. At the teacher come Millionaire. And then do not leave the group. We are not done yet. We'll still continue our training on becoming an MIE tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. And we have many more trainings, continuous professional development coming on for you. So congratulations once again. I hope we learned something in today's lesson. Yeah, so someone is saying their network is not good. I've said I'm going to share the recording later on so you can go over it. Okay, so please, I need feedback. How did you find today's class? Did you learn something? Are you happy to have joined us? Okay, you're welcome, Olaide. You're welcome, Olaide. Okay, so please, you can hurry up now, get your certificates, share it with people. If you have any challenge getting your certificates, do let us know. Thank you, Goodness. Goodness says it's been a great time. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you for joining. Because if you did not join, I cannot be here talking all by myself and to myself. Would have been very, very boring. You're welcome, Bashar Iliasu. Okay, I'm glad to be here, and I've indeed built my capacity more. Wow, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much for all the positive feedback. Thank you. All right, so we'll continue the discussion in the WhatsApp group. We can now exceed. If you have any challenge, just type in the WhatsApp group. I will answer later on, immediately after my next training. That one I promise I will. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye. See you tomorrow. You can unmute and say bye. Let me hear your voices.
Bye.
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 Bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for joining.